Hey stranger, long time no see. Would you like a cup of tea? Hello, it's been ages, 2 weeks to be precise, because I was too lazy last week, but check out my t-shirt. What do you think? It's pretty cute, isn't it? You know what? I'm just gonna say whatever. I'm just gonna do whatever, and I don't know what I'm saying. Today's cup. Can you see the steam? Ooh! I made it like 1 year. I made it like one hour ago and it's still hot. But yeah, today's tea that we have is a black tea with passion fruit pieces and natural flavoring to it, and is a type of loose leaf black tea that is actually distributed in only 12 countries. Fun fact. And how amazing is that, especially if you're an insane gatekeeper. So yeah, cheers. I am yet to decide if this tastes better with or without milk, because you know there's this whole thing that you're supposed to drink black milk with tea, at least the Western way. The Russians don't really do that as far as I'm aware. They just drink it with a slice of lemon, I'm pretty sure. Imagine if I could just hold this cup with my thumb. But yeah, the story that I'm gonna share today is a shower thought that I've been having. I take a shower every single night before bed, and every time I take it, some insane realization just hits me over the head, and I will keep thinking about it for months. So shower thought that I've been having recently is childlike wonder, right? And there's this whole movement on the internet. I'm pretty sure you saw those memes / jokes about once I accepted that I'm cringe, I'm finally free. And yeah, another big one is, and he had a picture of Paris Hilton in the background as well. Oh, come on. Oh, the things that you find cringe, I find fun. So that's why I'm happy and you're miserable. And I've been thinking about this in the sense of how can we preserve the childlike wonder, right? Because all of these jokes are associated with being cringe. But what really is being cringe? Being cringe is essentially you like something that is unusual, that people see as, oh, this is not the right thing to like, something that falls out of the unwritten standards that we have for ourselves. So, or having certain opinions that don't fall in line with what the majority thinks. So essentially something that falls into the minority of doing things is usually associated with being cringe. And it's also associated with some kind of social conduct. So essentially when let's say you say something very random or falls out of line, when you express out your mind. So cringeness for adults is essentially what is normal for kids. And I've been thinking about this a lot, because at what point does it become cringe? Because we wouldn't really call kids cringe. We're like, yeah, they're a little bit silly and a little bit random, but That's what kids are. So we don't really judge them as harshly because, they don't know any better. They're just learning how to be on this earth. Whereas, as you start growing up, people start to point fingers at you whenever you act a little bit out of line. And you say something a little bit unusual or inappropriate, and it just increases over time as you age. People have different expectations from you, that yes, you are a certain age and you need to act a certain way. So you just constantly get whipped of, yeah, grow up. It's essentially, people will tell you to grow the fuck up, because you're just doing what you are used to as a child, and this is what you grow up as, right? You like certain things as a kid, which are genuinely you, going back to this whole idea of, if you want to find true happiness, you don't need to go and find it, you just have to go and look back into your childhood, and that's where your answer is. But yeah, it's this whole thing of, you are living your essential self as a child without any restrictions, mostly. Without any restrictions, doing most of the things that you want, that you have access to, obviously. Saying what goes through your head, just living your authentic self, and you just grow up. And the way that people's behavior switch towards you implicitly says that, oh, the way that I actually am is not correct, so I need to fix myself, so I need to retrain myself into making myself more digestible for other people. So that's essentially what those social rules are for, to just make everybody like a little bit easier to read to others, to make the society a little bit more previsible, like easier to anticipate. And yeah, that is good. Obviously, we shouldn't live in complete anarchy, but I feel like the reason why adults get like so miserable at some point is because they get so out of touch with themselves. And you would say, yeah, oh, adults, oh, Anna, you're just 23, like what do you get about that? I feel like it's important to kind of like acknowledge it in time, that yes, I am going through a change right now, and I really am, because I just graduated uni, I'm about to start working, so that's essentially what adulthood is, right? You're done with all your studies and you step out into the big, scary, wild world, and you have to fend for yourself and make a life for yourself and all that. So I've been thinking, like, I've been always called this kind of like, I've been called essentially very young in mentality most of my life, and even people that haven't seen me in like 10 years, if they were to meet me again, one of the first things that they would tell me, they were like, oh, you didn't change at all. And you know, that hearing that repeatedly really makes you think, like, what does makes other people to think about me like that? Like, what is it about me that has not changed? And in reality, yes, I agree, I do feel the same. I've always felt the same about myself since ever. I don't feel like I've gone through much of a change really, besides, yeah, not even physically. I still very much look the same as when I did when I was 14. So what is it when people say that you haven't changed? So let's say people change a lot when they have something really shocking, really awful, really traumatic happen to them, right? Let's say somebody close to you dies, you get evicted from your house, something really drastic like that. So obviously you're gonna have to pull a very different attitude in order to cope with that. But if you haven't had anything really extreme happen to you, personally, I was a very protected child growing up. There hasn't been much happening to me. So it came easy to me to try to... I wasn't even trying. This is just how I've always been, and I never found a reason to want to change it. And now, at this point in my life, it feels like I'm kind of reaching the edge of where this kind of personality will be able to thrive. It just feels like I'm being very much pressured from all sides that, yes, it's a point in time where changes have to be made in you. And as much as you can learn how to work with the society and all like everything, you can still maintain yourself. You don't have to lose yourself. You don't have to compromise you in order to work on a decent level with others. And I feel like a really big part of why this whole childlike wonder fades is because of our egos. Let's just think about it for a second. Let's make another comparison again with like how children work. So children essentially have no egos. And why is that? It's because essentially they don't really have this idea embedded in their head yet of what is generally considered a good thing to like or a good thing to do, or what is generally considered as cool or aesthetic or trending. They just like whatever they like simply because it just looks right to them, right? And as we grow up, we get fed into like all this information that we absorb from around the world. And we kind of make this whole statistic in our head that, oh, if I like something that nobody else likes, it's a bit weird and it might come across as cringe. And a lot of people pick up on all sorts of interests that are popular out of wanting to have a sense of belonging to a community. So what do you really do when you have an interest that doesn't really resonate with many people? And I've had interests growing up that didn't resonate with anybody around me. And the reactions that I've received weren't very encouraging, to just say that. Second cup. Weren't very encouraging, to say that. Because I was learning Korean in 7th grade in like 2014. Back when the K-pop wave didn't really hit, and in countryside Romania, it wasn't a thing that many people were into. I'm pretty sure I didn't know really anybody until like 5-6 years later that was into the same things as me. And even again, it was mostly just K-pop, so I didn't really resonate. And the reactions that I've gotten for that, both in my family and from other people at school, in my circle of friends, was that, oh, she has quirky little interest at best. And then at worst, they would just call me Korea boo. They would just call me weirdo. They would just say, oh, why are you learning this language? You'll never be able to speak it. And my parents would be like, oh, just invest your time into something that will actually help you in the future, something that you'll be able to use in your job, in your career. Don't just lose your time. And I've kept doing it, obviously. I didn't really fall into pressure. That's not something that I've ever had a problem with, to just do my own thing. But I can tell how it can get difficult at times, and you just crumble under all this pressure that other people put on you to perform a certain way. And even now, as I have lots of random hobbies and interests, I get this reaction from my parents that, and they describe me as having lots of energy, but not being focused into one direction. and then they just say, yeah, you have all those interests, but you won't be able to use any of them. And that is one thing that kills childlike wonder, because as a child, you're encouraged to just do whatever, right? That's what childhood is about. It's about exploration, about finding the world around you, about discovering how the world works. And as you grow older, as much as people try to reinforce this whole idea of, yeah, we learn as long as we live, life is a continuous learning journey, it just starts to get like repeatedly discouraged for you to want to explore beyond your career or your job. Is essentially, as a teenage person, as you are in school, people just start to really focus on beating you on choosing a career and choosing a life path, and don't go in too many directions, because you won't be able to focus on one, and it's gonna be really difficult. And I don't deny that it is difficult, but it just forces you to just make your entire life about your job and your career and things that you can physically monetize. And that is one thing that is the hugest reason for killing childlike wonder. The fact that if you continue exploring, people give you the side eye, and then they just get so stuck into the material that then they fail to acknowledge the fact that, yes, I have an interest that I will be never able to put in practice theoretically. Like learning a foreign language, maybe you will never actually end up in that country, like ever. But it still brings you a lot of joy, and it still exercises your brain and challenges your worldview, so it's still useful in a way. Even though you might never make a business out of it or travel abroad or anything like that, it is still useful for the simple fact that it brings you joy and it feeds this emotional/spiritual side of you, right? And yeah, that's first reason. The fact that people are not are repeatedly whipped about their interests and hobbies, and as you grow, you're supposed to just focus on work and making money, and everything else is secondary, tertiary even. Second thing, I think that kills childlike wonder, right? Besides calling things cringe, it's the fact that as we grow older, we are less and less present in the moment. I wanted to say present in the present, but that sounds a bit silly. But yeah, we are less and less focused on the present. We're either stuck in the past or going like this into the future, but we're never right here, right now. And this is something that a lot of people say a lot nowadays, but I wanted to take it a little bit of a different direction and give you a concrete example of how I've observed it in my dad and just more adults in general, in how this whole thing works of like, yeah, you're not present in the moment, and everybody just says, oh, be more present. But how do you actually do that, right? Everybody just says, yeah, I'm living here, I'm in here, I'm on this chair right now, I'm in this room, and I'm focusing, and I'm feeling the sensation in my body, and I'm meditating, and I'm one with the thoughts. Besides the meditation part, let me just tell you something that is a lot more practical, and you can just put into practice. When you go on a walk, you don't have to sit on a chair in complete quiet and just focusing on thoughts and yeah, positive, or I'm not focusing or anything, I'm emptying my mind, and because I'm emptying my mind, I can feel this tingle in my toes. And no, I don't want to feed into that whole meditation thing, because again, I notice and I am aware that yes, it's not possible to just sit on the chair, especially if you're like so used to dopamine and so used to being overstimulated all the time. You will be hell to just sit in quiet and to just be bored and to just have nothing on hand to do at all times. So I'm gonna tell you something a little bit easier and, in my opinion, a lot more practical than just sitting with your thoughts in your room on a chair and just thinking, right? Because that can that can backfire as well, because you can think about the wrong things and you're just gonna make yourself feel a lot shittier than usual. So the example and the practical thing is to teach yourself to relearn how to observe the world around you. Is, let's say you go out for a walk, right? Let's just think about it for a second. Children like to observe lots of things. Everything is new and exciting to them. And there's this whole idea and this whole like kidcore aesthetic. Let's think about the kidcore aesthetic for a second. People just replicate this aesthetic, and what does it really show? It's just hyper saturated colors, lots of natural landscapes, playgrounds, and in general just lots of things that are colored like this, right? A lot of like hyper pigmented wait, I have another Russian children's book around. But yeah, when you think of kidcore aesthetic, it's probably something like this. But and then they just say you grow up and you get older and the world just looks increasingly less and less saturated. It just starts looking really gray and dull and boring and depressing and just yeah. And besides the fact that your eyes obviously age, and yeah, the way you perceive colors as you grow up changes a little bit, scientifically speaking. It is also a matter of getting desensitized to color and getting desensitized to your entire environment. So what seemed new and exciting as you were a child is just like normal. You've been seeing it for the past 20 years every single day. The sky is not as interesting anymore as it was when you saw it the first couple of years. And yeah, the buildings and the streets and the trees are not as interesting as the first times you saw them. But, and this whole thing is as you grow older, you just start functioning on autopilot, quite literally, especially if you're really busy as an adult, which adulthood is. You are busy with lots of things. You're always running in all sorts of directions. You don't have time to just sit down and notice whatever happens around you. You're exposed to lots of things every day. So obviously you cannot process and take in and absorb everything that happens around you. It's how the brain works. Otherwise you would be overwhelmed. You have to select the information you take in. But you, in this process of selecting the information and just focusing on the important thing and prioritizing what's important, you're missing on your actual like living experience. And the whole childlike wonder comes from, oh yes, there is this phone case right here, and look, it looks really cute and it has those spots and the material feels soft and those edges are nice, and look, it says something here. And yeah, that's pretty much how the proper observation and noticing of smaller things could make you a little bit happier, just from the simple fact that you focus on them for a second and you just engage all your senses on absorbing this thing. So another example, right? There's this like lavender bag, pouch, however you want to call it. And yeah, you can just look at it and you can look at the textures from it. You can feel the material. You can feel it's a little bit spiky because of the flowers inside. You can see this, and yeah, it smells nice. It's very refreshing, floral, obviously. It's lavender. And this kind of process can be done essentially with anything. And it's a skill that adults really disconnect from and lose. And if you try to go out with like an older person, most of them, whenever you will stop by and look at a flower or look at something small and insignificant, or you notice something, oh look, on this gate there's this number and it's a little bit like this and it's a little bit like that, their impulse would be like, oh, just keep walking. Why are you looking at that? Why are you paying attention to that? Like, why are we losing time on this thing? Oh, here we go again. That kind of reaction. And it's this particular kind of reaction that just forces you to, oh, this is not important. Oh, let's just ditch that. Oh, what? Let's just focus on the bigger goal and the bigger journey. We're supposed to get somewhere. Let's not stop by and look at every single small thing. We have a purpose and we have things to do that are more important than just looking at this daisy next on the street, right? Yeah, and I've noticed this with my dad, and it's quite sad because most of the time as we grow up, we start doing this without even acknowledging how much it's like harming us overall. We just, in our heads, we just think that, yeah, we're focused and we're responsible and we're, what's the word? Efficient and productive. When in reality, when you're efficient and productive, you're very action oriented, but you don't really observe the journey that you are on. And is this lack of observing the journey that you are on as you're taking it that is taking away a lot of the joy from the actual experience? Like, yes, I have a thing to do, and yes, I do need to get it by a certain day. I don't know what I'm saying, but people get so stuck into this whole work and focus on tasks that even when they have time where they're genuinely not rushed into anything, you don't have a time. Like, let's just say you're on a weekend, right? You're on a holiday. So you literally don't have anything pushing you from the back. You don't have a deadline. You don't have to fit in a certain schedule. And yet, adults are very stressed at all times, and they're still automatic. People cannot take themselves out of this whole automatization of themselves. Even when they're going on leisure time, they're still very much performing like robots. It's like they're still very stiff. They cannot feel a bit loose. They cannot get a bit less tense. And they're always like this, like, oh, where are we going next? What are we doing next? You're not supposed to go and do next anything. Your whole point of your leisure time is to relax, enjoy, and most importantly, not have a schedule for yourself. You have a schedule every single day for work. You have to do this, 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 and that, and you have all those lists that you have to tick. So you lose the ability to just go for a walk for the sake of walking, to just sit down for the sake of just sitting and having a quiet moment, to just look around nature and just look around your entire environment without the purpose of finding anything. You don't have to you don't have to you don't have to look for a reward or for a final goal into most of the things that you're doing. Yes, for work and for things that are very like delimited, of course. But in most things in life, there is no end goal. It's just the whole journey in itself. Like the whole beauty is not to just reach a certain state and then this is good and this is awesome and I'm accomplished and I have achieved something. No. The whole point is to just enjoy as you go different bits and pieces without a physical reward. To just be able to look at something and just be like, oh, that's really pretty. Oh, that makes me really happy. And oh, to just acknowledge that all those little bits is what makes life worth living. It's not any reward or accomplishment or goal. And it's not physical things. It's just, and especially it's not things that you own that are the greatest. Things that are everybody's, things that are accessible to everybody is what makes life worth living. It's where the beauty is at. In the forest, in nature, in birds flying in the sky, on just observing tiny insects, the ants on the ground, the worms, the pigeons. I'm looking at pigeons at the moment. Yeah, there's some birds flying. Oh, I mean, but yeah, it's things like that. So yeah, that's point 2. To just not be able anymore to observe nature and be present, like genuinely present, not in a meditation type of way. They're just like observing whatever is happening around you, that is a quality that is fading away into adulthood. Okay, before we step into the third and last point, let's share the snack of today. Because I already showed you the box, I got tempted and I showed you the box. But this is a snack from Moldova. It's called Cristinel, and there's also Cristinuța, but that's the girl version. But this is like a kid snack, very suitable for the theme of today, I know. But yeah, this is, as you can tell on the package, it's sweet corn puffs, and it has usually like a toy inside, depending on whether you're a boy or a girl. And this one is for boys, so it has a small car, a fire truck. But yeah, this used to be my favorite snack as a kid, and I'm really happy that I get to try it again. Yeah, and I'm really happy that I get to share it with you guys. I'm sure you will love it. It's very, very good. Would you like to have the first one? Gum. Should I do an ASMR? More. Wait. More. Okay. Wait, let's rinse. Wait, that they will look better. Okay, third and final point comes again from observation. Everything comes from observation. I don't know why I keep mentioning it, but third point is the fact that we stop asking ourselves basic questions about things going on around us. It's a well-known fact that children for like the first 10 years of their life or so, wherever you tell them or you show them or whatever new they learn, the questions are always the same. Why? Where? What? With who? And why is it like this? Why do I have to do that? Every time you tell them, yeah, you should go brush your teeth, they'll go like, why? Why do I need to do it? And you just go, oh, because you have to. And which is normal, right? Some things are just, you can tell them, yeah, you need to brush your teeth because they have to be cleaned, and if you don't clean them, they're gonna be dirty. But as you grow older, we stop asking ourselves those questions. And whenever we do ask a question and we question our reality and the things that are thrown at us, like, why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do that? You're telling me I should be different. But why is that? And as an adult, the questions that you start getting, and as an adult, the responses that you get to the same questions you put as a child are very different. Because as a child, you get explanations of, oh, this is better to do because But as an adult, when you ask, oh, you told me this rule, but why do I need to follow it? The answer that you would get is, oh, because you have to, or because this is the right way, or because this is what everybody else is doing, so you have to do it like this as well. And you get told that repeatedly after you ask multiple times, that you get to a point where you stop asking and you just assimilate in your head that, oh, this person tells me I should do like this, so I will do like this because they do like this, so everybody else must also do like this, and this is how it works. There is no other way around it. And because we stop questioning what's happening around us, we kind of stop learning about certain things. We just absorb everything based on what might be generally considered correct or generally considered right. And we stop learning, because once you stop questioning, that's where like the whole baseline stops, right? As a kid, it just goes like that. As a kid, as a kid, all your learning journey goes like this, based on why. But then as an adult, the baseline is here, and you ask why, and it's kind of like this. But then you ask, why not? And then it just goes down, and then it goes like this. And you realize, wait, I'm not getting a proper answer. Nobody wants to really tell me anything. So you either like stop questioning altogether, and if you keep asking, you're not gonna get much. So the whole thing just starts to plateau like this at some point in adulthood, because you start asking questions. People don't have an answer. Nobody questions themselves when they adopted a certain idea. So they say, oh, you shouldn't eat in this space, right? And let's say it's like a cafeteria or something like that, and they just say, oh, you shouldn't eat in this space. And you ask the person, why can't I? Like, isn't this what the room is designed for? Oh, that's the rule, you shouldn't. So if you ask this other person, why is it like this? They won't be able to answer you, because they didn't question it themselves either, so they don't have an answer to give. And it's this whole circle of lots and lots and lots of people that never questioned some things themselves, that they won't be able to have answers for you either. And it just reinforces the thing of, yo, you shouldn't question it. You should just accept it because everybody else before you accepted it. So why are you any smarter, any differenter than, oh, you're weird, why can't you just get it? That's just how the world is supposed to work. And yeah, learning and being curious is not as encouraged as an adult as it is when you are a kid. You should be curious about basic things as a kid, like, why do we have to peel the oranges? Why can't we just eat them with the peel? And you just say, oh, because the peel is not good for you, you'll get sick. Oh, because the peel has pesticides and you will get intoxicated and you will die. But when you grow up, nobody really has a definitive answer for most things anymore. And you are obviously going to stand out once you question some things. Especially politically, I feel like whenever there's like a certain trend or a certain idea going on, it feels like we aren't even allowed to question anything. We're just supposed to take it. And a lot of people that promote certain ideas and promote certain mentalities wouldn't be able to reply honestly themselves. So everybody just starts working on autopilot, not only physically, but also mentally and spiritually. Because not only do you not observe the little things around you, you're no longer concerned with questioning the smaller details of life. Like, why does it work like this? You're telling me this is good for me, but why is it good? Would you be able to answer me that question? And I'm telling you, a lot of people won't. So it just works as this whole like general confusion. And because the ego is getting developed as well, people feel like this sense of shame and get their egos hurt whenever they have to, whenever they question something, because other people either will usually try, whenever, this is difficult to put into words, but let's say you question somebody else about their beliefs. Obviously, that's already putting them in a weak spot because, oh, you're questioning me, like, why? Don't you trust that I am right? It's kind of like challenging their intellect once you put the whole ego in the question as well. You're questioning their intellect because why don't you just believe that what I'm saying is correct and take it? And by saying, like, why should I think like you? They're gonna think that, oh, so you think you're better than this. You think this is not how things are supposed to work. And this whole conflict starts. You're just asking some things out of mere curiosity. But because you hit their ego in return, just by simply questioning why is it like that, what are people that get their egos hurt gonna do in return is try to throw it back into you. So you question, why should I think like this? And they're gonna be like, why? Do you think any differenter? Do you have a better opinion than me? And it gets this whole like really tense and constricted situation of not being allowed to be curious about something, especially when it comes to a way of thinking and just general adult life roles. So people are discouraged from asking questions, and because of that, a lot of them end up just working on autopilot, just not questioning anything anymore, out of just fear that they're gonna sound stupid, or just because they don't want to contradict other people, they don't want to get into arguments, they're just gonna play along with it. And they start assimilating all those beliefs that they don't really believe in, that they don't really understand down to like a basic principle. They wouldn't be able to explain them to you. They wouldn't be able to justify why they support a certain thing. They're just gonna do it. And a lot of adults, yes, they work on autopilot. And as somebody who is embodying the childlike wonder, you're obviously gonna be very curious, and it won't be received very well in society as an adult being curious. And being curious also kind of implies that you're gonna be a little bit more outspoken, you're gonna be a little bit different in terms of thoughts and values and morals, because you're a little bit more flexible. That's what creativity and curiosity really goes with. When you're really curious, you get exposed to all sorts of things. So you're gonna be a little bit more moldable, and people won't like it. And they're gonna try to push you down. They're gonna try to push you down because this is, oh, you're not doing things the right way, or you're not judging properly, or you're not thinking correctly. But nobody will be able to really justify why you're wrong. Nobody will give you a definitive answer as to why this thing that you think is not correct and why their thing is correct, without trying to attack your intellect or your integrity, and without anybody getting their egos hurt in return. So yeah, those are three main things that I think are killing childlike wonder in adults. And I feel like the way to be able to incorporate that into your behavior while still being an okay member of society is try to take as much advantage of this side of yourself while you are by yourself. So yeah, obviously we won't be able to change the environment we're in and the people we are exposed to. We cannot redefine adulthood and just force everybody else to think like us. But what we can do for ourselves, because that's what we have to prioritize first and foremost, that we feel content with who we are and that we are happy with our daily lives, is to, instead of trying to force it on others and again try to chase something externally that might never actually happen, is to channel all that energy and effort into ourselves. So whenever we're by ourselves, to feel free to just do whatever, to not indoctrinate and restrict ourselves to such a way that we just go home and not be able to do anything that we genuinely enjoy or like, or not have any hobby in our free time because we're still scared of the voices in the back of our head that we might come across as weird at some point. It's not that. Go for a walk, absorb whatever is happening around you. And if people don't get it, that's fine. People don't need to get it. You're doing all of this for yourself. So if you go out on a walk with somebody and they end up being like, oh, why do you do all those things? Why do you observe so much? Just focus on the walk. You're losing time. That's not the right person to go on a walk with, and don't go again. Just try to avoid them. And with people that don't appreciate your curiosity, don't offer it to them, don't question it to them. Just do your own research. If they expose you to a new idea, instead of just you try to have a dialogue with them, it doesn't really work. Just try to look it up yourself and, keep that curiosity alive regardless. Even if it cannot be through direct interaction with others, you can still cultivate it for yourself in private, and it still counts and it still matters a lot regardless. So yeah, 3 things that matter is staying curious, continuing to be present and observing what's happening. And what was the first one? And yeah, the first one, you watch the video, you'll be able to see. So, song recommendation of today, as usual, is called Save the Animals by Sfero, Sferro. There it is. Just go and listen to it. It's 2 minutes long. I'm sure you can do it. Trust me, I have really good taste in music. Yeah. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's topic. It was a way longer video than usual, but you know, all this overthinking about it and all this essaying in my head during shower seems to have paid off to a certain extent. So yeah, I hope it really helped you. As usual, I'll be back from next Sunday, so keep up with me. And yeah, enjoy your week. Have lots of really nice teas. And yeah, see you next time. Bye!